Hey, what's that?
Hey, kiddo. It's a churro.
What's a churro?
So, this is a churro. It's kind of like a Spanish-style donut. So instead of being like rings, it's it's longer and it's like usually star-shaped. It's pretty good.
Looks yummy.
Covered in cinnamon sugar too. It's good stuff. Hey, I know Cinco de Mayo was last week, but this would be like a great post Cinco de Mayo celebration. You want to make some?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. Meet me in the kitchen. So the interesting thing about churros is that there's a couple different cooking methods involved. We're going to be doing the dough. We're going to start the dough in the pan, and then it's just a saute pan, and then we're going to be deep frying them. The other thing is that churros actually don't start here in a bowl like everything else we've been doing. They actually start over there on the stove. So why are we over here? Let's go over there. Come on. Hey, so we're over at the stove here with Ellie. Anytime you're deep frying anything, you always want to start by heating up your oil first so that it can come up to the right temperature that you need it at before it's time to fry. So Ellie's going to go ahead and turn our pan on to medium heat here. And you can see we have a high-walled pan with about a 1/2 inch or so of vegetable oil. Now you can use any kind of oil you have on hand. Vegetable oil is okay. Canola oil, peanut oil are really good oils if you don't have any allergies, obviously, or anything like that. So now that Ellie's got our fry oil heating up, she's going to go ahead and start making the dough in our pan that's heating up to medium-low heat right now. So she's going to start with 1 cup of water. And to that, she's going to add 4 tablespoons of chilled butter that's been cubed. Then she's going to go ahead and add a tablespoon of sugar, granulated sugar. And to that, she's going to add another 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then she's just going to stir this up and wait until all that dissolves. So the water, sugar, salt, and butter have all melted together, so Ellie's going to go ahead and turn that up to high now so that we can get this to come to a boil. We're just going to wait for this to boil. So it's come up to a boil, so Ellie's going to go ahead and turn the burner back down to medium-low. And she's going to go ahead and add in a cup of all-purpose flour. And then she is going to stir, stir, stir. Nice and smooth here. Alright, so Ellie's cooked it down. She's stirred it all together, so it's kind of come together in a dough. If you look really closely, you can see a lot of flour lumps. That's not a big deal. It's kind of like the pancakes or the banana bread. You want to get it pretty smooth, but a little bit of lumps are okay. So now we're going to go ahead and throw this right into a bowl so that it can start to cool off and we can add our other couple of ingredients. So it's been cooling off for about 10 minutes now. So now Ellie's going to use our egg beaters here. And to our dough, we are going to add 1 whole egg. And a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. And Ellie's just going to go ahead and mix that up until it's nice and smooth. All right, so now we have our churro dough. You can see there. What we're going to do now is we're going to take this and we're going to shove this into a piping bag. Piping bags look like these. There's a triangle one. If you don't have a piping bag, you can use just a regular old Ziploc bag. Ziploc bags are great. Just make sure you have one big enough to hold all of that. All right. So now we're going to take our piping bag and we're just going to snip the tip off. If you can see that there. We're going to snip the tip, and then we're going to use a piping tip. We're going to slide that down the inside of the bag so it pops out the bottom. Now, if you remember our strawberry fruit leather episode, this is the same tip we used to hull the strawberries. You just drop that right down inside and squeeze a little bit, and there is our piping tip in our piping bag. Now we're using a star here. A star will give you the typical churro shape. If you don't have a star piping tip, that's totally fine too. You can always just cut the hole out of the bag and just make straight churros. You don't have to make the fancy star shape. But that star shape is traditional for churros. And then we're just gonna fill up our piping bag. There you go. Now once it's all in the piping bag, you're just going to squeeze the top of the piping bag. You want to get it all kind of down inside. And you're going to twist and squeeze as you go. And that's what you're left with. Your piping bag and your star tip. And we're going to have to force all that out of the star. So now this isn't easy. This is kind of a thick dough, so this will be parents' time. So Ellie's going to work the camera and help me maybe fish these out and get these on the drying rack. You can see before we even get started on this, we're going to take the temperature of our oil. Now, if you don't have a thermometer to take the temperature of your oil, that's fine. But I'm not sure if you can see, but if you look closely at the surface, it's kind of doing this like shimmery, shaky sort of thing. That's what you're looking for to know the oil's about there. So let's take the temperature and see where we're at. You want to be around 360 if possible, about 346. All right, so we're coming in a little under that. That's just fine. It's also okay to be a little over, because if you go a little over when you put the cold dough in there, it's going to bring the temperature down a little bit, so that's totally fine. So now if you look over here, we've got our stations set up. So when they come out of the pan, they're going to go in the cinnamon sugar mixture, and then from there they're going to go onto the paper towel on a plate. And here's our piping bag with our dough in it. Now, if you've ever used Play-Doh and you like Play-Doh, this is real life Play-Doh. All I'm going to do is twist the top. You can see it coming out of the piping tip there. And I'm just going to squeeze. And the reason why you really want mom and dad's help is because it does take a little bit of pressure and force. And this oil is really hot. So we have to be super, super duper duper careful. I'm going to squeeze it out. If you have a bigger star piping tip, that's cool too. The bigger, the better, the fluffier inside. You want to try to get it about 5 or 6 inches. And then you just come along with your kitchen scissors. You just go right at the bottom of the piping tip, snip, and in it goes. And we're going to repeat that a bunch of times. I've got this fun tool, it's called a spider, kind of because this looks like a spider web. This is great for digging stuff out of hot oil because the thing you want comes right out, the oil goes right out. But you could also use a slotted spoon. Heck, you could actually use tongs if you want. So you can see these are frying away. We're just going to wait for these to fry. I could keep doing more, but I kind of want to keep them in smaller batches so that the oil temperature doesn't drop. So once they start to get nice and golden brown and yummy like that, that's how you know when they're ready to come out. So once they're ready to come out, you just come over here, you lift it out, you go right into the cinnamon sugar, and then you shake it all around with a spoon that I don't have, not prepared. You just coat it with some cinnamon sugar, shake it off, over to a paper towel, and there's a churro. And it's really that easy. So the last churros just came out of the fryer. We've got our plate of churros here. This will make roughly 2 dozen. They cool off pretty quickly. You can eat them right away. They'll keep for like maybe a day, but after that, they're going to start to get stale pretty fast. So I highly recommend eating them sooner rather than later. And also, they're just better when they're warm and right out of the oil.
And these ones will be pretty cool, the traditional ones, but you should let these ones, if you don't have one star tip, you should let these ones cool more than these ones because these ones are thinner, so they'll cool off faster than these ones.
Right, so we took the star tip out of the piping bag and we made some without the piping tip. So if you just have Ziploc bags at home, you can throw the dough right in there and you can squeeze it right out without a tip. The thing is, they're going to cook a little faster and you're going to probably want to make sure the tip is they're going to cook a little slower. But so you're going to want to cut a slightly smaller tip so that they're not quite as thick. These are really thick. So anyway, should we give them a shot here and see how they taste? All right, I'm going to try this little broken piece here.
I'm going to try this one too.
They're really good. The outside's really crispy, but the inside's nice and soft and tender. Oh, it's really tasty. What do you think?
Not really good, but I also wanted to say something. This one is like really cool and you can feel it, but it still tastes good. But I can feel the difference. This one's like a lot harder. So if you have 2 people trying it, you can even cut it in half to have it cool faster.
There you go. Should we make these again sometime? These are really good, I think.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Oh, this is some good stuff. Thank you so much. Great job. Thanks for joining us. We hope to see you guys again next time. Happy Cinco de Mayo.
Enjoy your churros.